Okay. So today I'll be presenting on this chapter, chapter 7, how do I resolve conflict and lead challenging people. So yes, today we are going to discuss about ways to deal with different kinds of conflicts and also people. I believe this is what most of us also gone through whether we are really working or we are studying. Basically, wherever we are with people, we will face problem lah. So because everyone is uniquely built, so we all, in a way, we all have different opinion, different perspective. So that's why last time I used to work in my old company. That time, I remember my boss telling me saying that sometimes this conflict, all this conflict is actually good. It helps. It will either, if you manage it well, it will helps to build relationship and strengthen the relationship between each other lah. So hopefully through this chapter, it can help us to resolve conflict in a better way and build better relationship with people. Yeah. So in this chapter, at the beginning, that part, John C. Maxwell also got mentioned. Like in the previous few chapter, most of the chapters John C. Maxwell gone through is related to self-leadership, and this chapter, it's more towards dealing with other people, because as one of the world leadership guru, this is the second most question that he got from people asking him, like how to actually deal with people. Yeah, and it is also the second hardest thing apart from leading yourself. Leading people, or even dealing conflict and leading challenging people is the second hardest thing that we usually have to do in our life lah. So before we jump into the steps to resolve conflicts and also leading challenging people, as you can see the chapter, that's how it starts, the how. So yes, we are going to discuss very practical steps, which I personally enjoy a lot. Before we went into the steps, we need to first understand one important condition. Yeah, for us to actually successfully resolve conflict and also lead challenging people. So what is the important condition? I'm not sure if some of you still remember, but I believe most of you have gone through the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So yes, this is the circle of control. Yep. So the application in this chapter will only work with people who possess some desire to work with you. So there are a limit of how much we can actually put in effort from our side to resolve this whatever conflict that we have. But somehow we still need to recognize there are certain things we can't really control. And if you look at this circle of control, this is exactly what it pointed out. People actually falls into the category of circle of influence, which is out of our control. Okay, so what we can control is our words, our action, idea, decision, this kind of things. Yes, we can control, but others, no. So as much as we want to put in effort to resolve this problem, there is a limitation of what we can do. We can't really control the outcome. Yeah. So this one is something that we need to know, so that we don't really frustrated when we are unable to resolve the problems. And yep, So this circle of control actually helps us to know where should we focus our time and energy whenever we are planning how to resolve this problem. Okay, so if we continue to focus on the circle of influence or circle of concern, which is out of our control, it will eventually drain our energy out. Then we will somehow divert our attention to other things rather than what we can control. Yep. So condition, one of the most important condition is whether the person have the same desire to work with you, to resolve the problem. Yep. So far like that, okay? So why did I say that? Yes, as much as we want to help people or we want to resolve problems, there are also priorities that we need to focus, in the sense that if we ourselves are being put in the leadership or the leader's position, we need to know we are not just leading one person per se. There are a team waiting for us to actually move forward from there. So we also need to balance between helping one person and also not neglecting the welfare of other team member. Yeah. So everyone deserve our best shot to actually help them to succeed. So chance can be given, but not at the expenses of others on the team lah. So this is exactly why leaders are being why leaders have to make certain decision or hard decision, like in our team, or yeah. And if you remember the rotten apple story, whenever we make this hard decision or difficult decision, remember it has to be quick and careful. Yeah, because if a rotten apple is being put among the good apples too long, eventually it will affect other good apples as well. So yeah, we have to deal it properly and carefully and quick. Yeah, so that's so far for the introduction. Yep. So far, got any question? Everyone clear, right? What I'm trying to say. Okay. So yeah. So next I'm going to touch on this part. I'm sure you guys have somehow met people like this before. I'm not sure if you are now working or you have the experience working in the team before. So probably you will face team member like that, like even from the assignment, or right now you are working in the team. So I'm not sure if it doesn't have to be a leader to observe these kind of things, but as a leader, probably it's a good way for us to pick up from here, to learn how to manage these problems. So eventually, when it reach up to the point where we have to make the decision, we don't have to be panicked, because we know we have already been practicing and we know how to handle. Okay, so the first one, the first one is, how can a leader actually move an individual from unteachable to teachable? Demand change of a bad attitude from an employee, lead someone with passive aggressive personality who is loyal and effective but hindering the team, handle an angry employees, deal with a person who doesn't want to be led. So all this actually deals with the problems of attitude problems. Yep. So when you face this issue, you need to first ask yourself before moving on with the application. You need to first ask yourself these two questions. Can the person that you want to help willing to change? Can they change, and will they change? So oftentimes, can they change actually deals with ability. Will they change actually deals with attitude. So a lot of times we will usually ask, will they change? If they are willing to change, then we can actually help. But actually, if we want to really solve or handle or manage this successfully, this problem, the condition has to be, for these two questions, has to be yes. Okay? In the sense that the person has to be willing to change and they have the ability to change. Okay? So, like, often times, if you meet people like that, if they can change, you know that they are able to change, but they are unwillingly change. They don't want to be changed. Also, kind of, like I say, the first, it leads back to the important condition that I mentioned earlier on, circle of control. You can't control whether they want or don't want. Yeah, and the ability, if they are not ready or they are not, they don't have the ability to change at the moment. Probably there are still some things that hold them back. So they are not in the position right now to change. Even though they are willing to change, you can't really force them. It has to, deal from their position, from their level, then slowly change. So that's why before actually looking at whether you want to help these people to change, first you have to ask these two questions first. You have to evaluate from your side. Yep.
Okay, let me interrupt a bit.
Yep.
Okay. Which is the essential question? Both or one?
Sorry, come again.
Which one is essential? Ability or attitude for change?
Attitude.
Okay. So, in other words, without attitude, you cannot, no point. Which is true, huh? Correct. In other words, no point putting in effort if the follower have no desire to change. Very important. You cannot instill desire to change. But you can instill ability to change. You cannot instill desire to change, but you can instill ability to change. Ability is a skill. Everybody need to be taught skills. But very few, if desire, of course, you can try to motivate. You can try, but then it's outside your circle of control. Eventually, the person will say, that will express the desire or not. That's why willingness to change is an essential criteria for change. Now, my second question is this. If a person willing to change but doesn't know how to change, is there a third question you have to ask? What other question can you ask after, if I have a situation? Now, if the person is willing to change and able to change, settle. the problem is settled, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, you just show the person only. Done. Okay. Now, if a person is willing to change, okay, second criteria, a second situation, unwilling to change, forget about ability to change. So throw away. Finish already. Okay. Now there is a third possibility. Willing to change, but don't know how to change yet. That means unable to change yet. So what? What can you do? Throw or don't throw?
I think I can help them. Oh, sure. Open to the floor.
Open to the floor.
The floor, no response.
Hey, what happened? Floor. All went home and sleep already. Hello. Floor is empty. Everybody, brain is empty. Hey.
That's always a way.
Yeah, so, Zhixian, what is the way? There is a way, but what? What is the way? Discover together. No? That's why I'm asking you. You're supposed to help us discover. Come, give us some answers so we can discover together. Come, any suggestion? If nobody there, I give you answer. Anybody want to try?
You read trial and error.
Okay. Okay, not the best way. Yes, but not the best way lah. Okay. You don't have to go to such trial and error. All you have to do is ask 2 questions only. You ask these 2 questions. If the answer is the person is willing to change but unable to change, you can ask another 2 questions. Then you will know the answer.
How committed are you to change?
What is the 2 questions you can ask? Okay? Nobody? Hello? Nobody?
How determined do you want to
What
change?
they want to change? No. You already asked them. You keep asking them. They also cannot answer already.
How determined?
You have to ask 2 questions. No.
How committed?
No. Okay. The 2 questions you have to ask now. First question you ask, will they change? And if the answer is yes, okay, good. Then you ask the question, can they change? Correct? If the answer is yes, good. Problem solved. Correct? Now, second scenario, will they change? Yes. Can they change? No. Then you go to third. You continue with this question. Will I help them change? Then next question, can I help them change? If will I help them change? Yes. Then can I help them change? Yes. Then you have to train them. If will I help them change? too troublesome. I'm not willing. Then no more. Will I help them change? Yes. Can I help them change? I also don't know how to help people. So cannot, lor. That's why it's the same question, except now you ask yourself as a leader. Can you get what I'm saying? That's why at the end, when the situation is yes, they are willing, no, they can't, then you have to ask yourself as a leader, am I willing to help them? In other words, do I have the time? Will I be willing to make sacrifice of the time and the energy? That's what it means. Will I be willing to put in the effort to help them? Now, this is where you will analyze how difficult that person probably is. How much you care about that follower. Then if you say, yes, I'm willing, I care about the follower, I'm willing, then you have to ask, do I have the ability? Do I know how to help them change? Okay? Because you have to find steps. If you have some steps, even though your steps is still try and error, I think I can. Then still can lah. Right? Yeah. That means your answer to can I help them change? I think I can. This is where Zixian's try and error can still come in. Any question?
No.
So you have settled all the three scenarios. First scenario, they are unwilling to change. Forget them. Second scenario, they are willing to change and they can change. Good. Encourage them. Give them some help. Give them some time to change. Third scenario, they are willing to change, but they don't know how to change. Then you have to ask yourself, am I willing to help them? Can I help them? Okay. Back to you, Jinli.
Okay. Where am I? Okay. Yeah. So after answering that question, asking yourself that question, if the answer for you is yes, you want to help them, you have the ability to help them. So here, next is what I'm going to share with you, how to help them. Okay, so here, this chapter basically quite practical lah. So it will teach you how the steps how to actually help to people to change. So if you face people with attitude problems, this is what you can do. First, meet privately as soon as possible to discuss about their behavior. So personally and privately, it's very important so that you still give them to me lah, is that there is a room of privacy so that the person can be more open to you instead of you raise it up publicly where there are so many other people related together. It makes the things more complicated. So I believe personally and privately helps to help both of you to actually open up, be more open up lah. And also lay out the specific tangible example of the undesirable actions or behavior. This one also very important. Those don't use second-hand report. Don't like from here gossip there, then that's what you heard. Try to give the example in a way how it also, from your perspective, this is what you see, you observe, rather than this is what you heard from others lah. So yes. And assume that their motives are good. Assume that they do it with a good intention, but it's just that the way is wrong or something like that to help them out. And explain their action, how does it actually affect people negatively to other team and other people. And most importantly, maintain a positive attitude throughout the whole conversation. In a way that you are not there to actually judge them or criticize them, but you are there to solve problems, to work things out lah. Okay, so yeah, because a lot of times, instead of, if we are not clear about this, a lot of times instead of discussing, finding ways to actually solve the problem, we might very likely end up releasing our frustration to them, or showing our disappointment to them. This will actually help them to, like being taken back whether they want to share more with you. So we have to be very clear on our motive and our intention, and as well as our goal when we are meeting up with these people. Like, we are really there to help them to work things out. Okay, and yeah, this is when you are in a conflict with somebody.
Okay, let me add one more just to be a bit clearer. The second one, lay out the specific. Don't be vague. Don't go indirect, in other words. For those of you who are high I or high S, okay, you don't want to hurt people's feeling. But let me say this. Sometimes, if you indirect and people didn't understand clearly what the problem is, you hurt people longer. And you cannot solve the problem completely. Does that make sense? It has to be precise. That's why that's why you put that tangible example of undesirable action and behavior. In other words, you describe back exactly the event that happened. Exactly. So be clear, be specific. Don't go and tell great-grandfather's story to avoid the direct hurt. Okay? Bound to be hurting already. When you confront, it's always a bit hurting. It's just that remember this. Correction is always painful. You want the short-term pain, long-term benefit. Remember that. Not indirect, you minimize, you reduce the pain, but you don't solve the problem, but you prolong the pain. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so don't. Sometimes I know it's painful, direct very fast, but you can move forward from there. Okay? Yeah, that's where the second point, lay out the specific tangible example, is all about. So be clear about it. Okay, Jenny.
But I have a question. Like, sometimes we have to also take into consideration, like, maybe some people might not be that tough to actually accept the direct feedback. How do we manage sensitive case or sensitive people, more sensitive people, I would say? Do we do the same?
I think it still go back to the two questions. Willing to change. Now, there's always a different degree of willingness. A person is totally willing, regardless of the pain. That's what willingness really is. I'm willing if it's not so painful. Then that's not really fully willing. So that's where you have to ask the question clearly. How ready and willing is a person to change? The willingness got to do with a certain readiness. Correct? So if the person you feel is probably ready and willing, if it's not so painful, well, then you have to ask yourself the question, okay, in this case, how can I probably reduce it to 2 small pieces? Deal with one piece first. Settle already, deal with another piece. To me, being direct and not vague reduces future problem. And the other person cannot say, you never told me. Or the other person cannot say, that's not what you say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where you go back to your question. How is the person willing? In other words, the level of pain that the person will be able to handle is an indication of the willingness. Isn't it? Yeah. So you go back to the previous question. To me, it's like that lah. To me, it's like that lah.
Okay. Yep. So far, no question from the rest. Okay. Yep. Okay. So that's the first one, and of course, wherever the one factor that can differentiate between damaging and deepening your relationship is actually the attitude lah. So like the intention or the heart of how much you want to help, as well as how you actually portray yourself in this discussion. Okay. And secondly, it's also to ask for their side of story. So of course, a lot of times we tend to jump into the conclusion or we assume too much. So it's good that sometimes we take back a step and listen to the full story first. Perhaps there are some of the parts or some of the things that we doesn't really know from their side. So yes, remember everything, there is two sides of coins to every story. So understanding is actually three-edged sword. Your side, their side, and the truth in the middle. So get all facts before you jump to conclusion. Yep. And also, thirdly, is to try to come to a place of agreement. So after open up, meet up, and hear all sides of story, then that's where you have to come to an agreement, because you can't leave the things half hanging. That's why precisely you want to meet up to solve the problem. So, like I said, there are two kinds of people. Whenever you reach to this third level, people who want to accept the problem and open up to change, willing to change and want to change, and people who deny the problem and refuse to change. Okay, so yeah. So if it's people who accept the problem and open to change, then it's good, then you all can move forward from that. But if people denies the problem, still you can raise up to them the problem honestly, and give them some time to reflect, to think through. Doesn't really, sometimes one conversation doesn't really end with a solution directly. So sometimes you take some time and more rounds. So give them some time, and of course, need to follow up and see if both of you actually reach to a point where she wants to change and you want to help them to change. That's how you can move forward from there, right? So, and yeah, so of course, remember to give options in a way that if they wants to change, then they wants to remain on the team, then they need to change. Else, they need to somehow leave the team, say sayonara. Okay, so yeah, this is what last time sir used to say: change the person or change the person. I don't know whether you all remember. Yeah. So if the person willing to change them from inside out. If not, change the whole person. Just change away. Yeah. So of course, if you are having a hard time making that decision, ask if you need to hire a new person. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is what you will ask. This is from my understanding lah. Like, you ask yourself, if you were to hire again for that person, if they come and interview, will you hire them? So if your answer is yes, keep them. That means there must be a value that you see in them. So keep them and work with them again. And if your answer is no, then just let them go. If it's maybe, then reevaluate in the 3 months time. If you don't know, then give yourself 3 months. If you still don't know, then no. Okay. So when you are tempted not to act in difficult situation, ask yourself, are you holding back for your own personal comfort or for the good of the whole organization? So remember, as a leader, you owe it to the rest of the team to make tough decisions, not just for your own personal comfort lah. So of course, for like S people or I people, we will really want to avoid these kind of things, but at one point we still have to make decision lah. Yeah, just to not to affect the rest of the team. Okay, so yeah.
Okay. Remember, if you are the leader, you must take up the responsibility. Okay? If you are the leader, you must take up your responsibility. That's why being a leader in a leadership position, the higher you go, the more responsibility you hold. In other words, the more difficult decision, it is your responsibility to make, including things like this. Because disagreement is bound to come. So in the disagreement, leaders need to make the decision. Agreement, very easy. Okay? No tension, no problem. It's in the midst of disagreement, that's why it's very difficult. But yet, remember, in that difficult period of disagreement, leader make it. Okay? Leader make it. And these are some of the guide to help you make that decision. Okay. For people who are high D, slightly different. High D, high I, the extrovert may be a bit too hasty. The introvert may be a bit too, High S will avoid the decision making. High C will procrastinate the decision making. High I will make the decision based on emotion, based on approval. High D will tend to make the decision too hastily. Okay, too one-sided. So knowing where you are, this is where you have to buck up a bit, Okay. Okay, Jenny.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether this helped lah, but depends on what personality you are. You can actually consult the other personality so to balance things up lah. So remember, S1 don't consult back S people lah. So end up no conclusion, no. So consult opposite sides so to strike a balance and stuff lah. Just to add on to what Sir shared. So yep, come to a place of agreement. Then of course, if it agrees, then move on. Then move on with future course of action with deadline. Okay, editing need to black and white also. You need to move on. What is the next task? Okay, so as to have progress. So indicate an action that they must not take or behavior that must not continue. So as also for them to measure if they are moving forward, and also for us whether how much from our side we can come in to help, or what's the problem that arise if things doesn't change, and action steps and deadline follow through. Make sure they understand, and yeah, best if you can write down lah. People are quite forgetful, so whatever they say, they will just throw it into dustbin. So write down if possible, and validate the value of the person and express your commitment to help. So this is the last step, which I feel is the most important, in the sense that um, you need to let them know how much you care for them, not just for the sake of the company, but also treat them as someone that you really value, yet that you really want to help them, and to strike a common goal together. So yep, sometimes the greatest value a leader can add to other person is actually telling the truth, to show them where they can grow and help them to change, because it's the toughest. Nobody wants to, you know, truth is not to say always hurting, but sometimes it's not good to hear, or not pleasant to help, and pleasant to hear, but that's precisely can help one person to grow. So yes, if you really care, then yeah, this is what you should be doing. Okay, so yep, that is for attitude problem. So this is the set of steps that you can actually practice. So yep, and that's for the first issue, first problem. The second problem is where we are going to look at mediocrity. So how do you actually raise the bar when people have gotten used to settling for mediocrity? In the sense that people, so what is mediocrity? Mediocrity means only ordinary or moderate quality, neither good nor bad, barely adequate. This is the definitions of mediocrity. So this question deals with performance issue. So of course, if you try to reflect back in your normal daily life, do you actually met people like this? I believe we do, because if we look at the data, so it's either we have poorest people like 20% or 10%, then mediocrity usually owns up 80%, and the top performance is 10% or something like that. So makes up 100%. So yes, in our daily life, usually we will meet a lot of people who actually have practiced mediocrity lah. So as a leader, if you are actually pushing people to their limit, first, before you can actually achieve that, you need to ask, or you need to reflect from yourself first. Do you yourself playing the role as a mediocrity? So yes, you can't really raise the bar for others if you haven't raised the bar for yourself. So ask yourself if you are settling a bad example by being a mediocrity by personally, and whether you have lowered your expectation so far that people have just assumed that it's averagely good. Yeah. So yeah, you can't really ask people to change, or ask people to, keep on improve if you yourself doesn't improve. So yeah. So if that's the case, yeah. Okay, forget it. I forgot what I want to say. If you have pushed to your limit, then you can ask if you yourself say that, yes, I've pushed to my maximum limit, yeah, then you can ask your follower, are they reaching their maximum potential, and would they like to do better, and do they know how to reach their maximum potential and how to help? How can you help? So basically, this question deals back to what Sir asked. You know, the ability and the attitude, and whether can you help them? Are you willing to help them? So yeah, it's the same set of questions here. Okay. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether y'all have had this experience before, in the sense that a lot of times when you do things, like you are spending a lot of times to do certain things already, one particular thing, and towards the end of the process already, you're about to finish, but there is this mindset pass through your mind saying that it's okay lah, it's about to end, just simply finish it lah. The last step we just simply do lah. So, but somehow when things turn out, or the outcome turn out, when you do a comparison within you and the top performance, and when you realize is that actually the whole process from head to almost the end, when you are comparing with the top performance, actually the difference between you and the top performance is just the last step, how much effort you actually put in. So at that point, you will somehow feel like regret, like, why didn't I, push towards the end? Why don't I give the final push until the end? Like, yeah, I'm not sure whether y'all have been through that position, because I had a lot of times. So I'm so frustrated. So just remember, whenever you do anything, the difference between mediocrity and excellence is often a matter of effort. So every time, if possible, don't settle in doing the same thing over and over again. Ask yourself every round if there is any little things that you can improve every round. So that's where you continue to raise the bar for yourself, and as well as also a good example for others to continue to push ahead. Because as everyone is pushing ahead, definitely the outcomes of all of you can achieve, it's definitely the next level. So always ask yourself if there is anything you can do better this round, and evaluate. And yeah, that's what I reflect from so many rounds of regrets for my side. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, that's what I share lah. So remember, the mindset is not just about seeking for a result. It's more of like the process of getting to the result. So yes, the journey and the approach is what that matters. So it's a way of life, because result is going to be eventful, just one time thing, it pass and go. But the journey, the process of you been through, it's actually indirectly building your inner strength. So it becomes a being. So if you remember what Sir have been sharing all this while, think to be have. So have, the result is what you have. Okay, but the process getting towards the result, the journey, is actually slowly building your being up. That's what is irreplaceable. So that's what you want, because that is going to last for a longer period of time rather than what you have. Okay, that's what I'm going to share for this one. So don't be a mediocrity. Yep. Okay, so far that's the second thing. Anything to add on? No?
Yes, let me add on a bit. Okay. Now, realize this question is about comparing. Otherwise, you cannot. How are you going to define mediocrity and excellence if you're not comparing? Definitely you're comparing. So in your comparing, question is, what are you comparing? And what is your respond to the comparison. That is very important. Okay. First thing, there are always two perspective of comparison. Comparison with others and comparison with yesterday, with self yesterday. Okay. Now, both are important. To know whether you are in mediocrity or you are in excellence, you need to apply both comparison. I give example. Sometimes when I am comparing myself with other people, it looks like I am only average. Okay? Why? Because I can only do half of what the best can do. So when I compare the best of other people, I realize that I can only achieve half of what they are capable of. So I am considered average. This is where I have to move to the second comparison. Comparison of self. In other words, I compare myself with yesterday's self. If I compare myself with yesterday's self, and today I have improved another 20%. And most of the time, every time I put in effort, I am able to improve 10 to 15%. But today, I'm able to improve 20%. Now, that changes my average or my mediocrity assessment. Can you see that? It should change my mediocrity assessment. Because my improvement is so much better. That's why be very careful of the way you compare. Don't just compare with others all the time. Okay? It has to be compared with others and then compare with self. And then you raise the bar for yourself. Or same thing with other people in your team. You compare when you compare them. Okay? Don't let a very good member say, I'm the best already. Why I worry? You see what I'm saying? So if the person in your team only uses comparison with others as an assessment, wrong. That same person must also be using comparison with self as an assessment. Because if the person is the best already, maybe the rest of the team member are poor. If the rest of the team member are poor, you being better than the poor only make you average. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you must also compare with self. To raise the bar, the person must be looking at. That's why you as a leader must somehow know which to use as a motivating factor. Get the other person to compare with others or get the other person to compare with self. Most of the time, compare with others, I don't think you need to use. Everybody will compare with others. I think most likely the leader will have to help the person compare the person with self. If the person is the best, get the person to compare with self to tell him, if today you are the same as yesterday, what better are you? That means you are in mediocrity. Today must be better than yesterday. Then you are not in mediocrity. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if the team member is in a team where he is the worst, you also don't want to focus too much on him comparing with others. Help the person compare with self so that the person can see and get motivated. If the team member is the best in the team, you also don't want to get the person to compare with others. You want the person to compare with self so that the person don't get complacent. Second attitude about comparison. If you have compared, right? And you feel good about yourself. What does that tell you? It tells you ego. You're not focusing on excellence. You're focusing on ego. Ego compare with other people to feel good about self. My excellent people compare with others to get themselves motivated to improve. You see what I'm saying? That's why your attitude, whether your attitude is just to make yourself feel good, or your attitude is you want to do the best you can do, your response to comparison will give you an idea. Your attitude, whether it's ego-driven or excellence-driven. So when you are leading other people and you're helping them to raise the bar of improvement, right? Then you can look, you can see what happened when the other person start comparing with other people, whether it's ego-driven or it's excellence-driven. If it's ego-driven, the best in the team will feel very good about themselves. The worst in the team will feel very bad about themselves. Both also ego-driven. Both also are doing for the sake of feeling good. Can see that? The best in the team feeling good about themselves is also concerned about their feeling. The worst in the team feeling bad about themselves are also focused on their feeling. What you want, team member, when you're raising the bar, so that you can also raise the bar of the team or the organization, is to make sure they are driven by excellence and not driven by feel good, by how they respond in the comparison. Any question? Once you are, what do you realize that once you are driven by excellence and not by ego, there is no end to excellence. There is no end to improvement. Once you are driven by excellence and not by ego, there is no end to improvement. Once you are driven by ego and not excellence, you think, oh, I reached it already, I'm good enough. You stop improving. Okay. Okay. No, any question? No question, then Julie, you can continue.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Yep. So if no question, I move on to the third one. How to motivate an unmotivated person. Okay. So this is quite straightforward. Okay, unmotivated person. So how? Basically, what you can do as a leader is to form the kind of atmosphere that surround by motivated people. So yes, you are who you are is who you attract. So as a leader, it's very important for you to instill the motivation spirit in your team. Yep, and to actually and also to understand the connection between relationship and motivation. So you can't just on surface like just motivate people, but if you add in or you put in a little bit more effort to actually build the relationship the motivation actually will escalate in a way that people know that how much you care. That's why they will feel it, and they will understand like how much you really care for them. Then from there, whatever you say, it will automatically, or it will somehow motivate them. And yeah, these are just some tips, and give each person a reputation to hold. So motivate your team to perform in the strength and encourage an environment where people say positive things about others. And lastly is reward what you want done. So of course, rewarding, you need to give them reasons to get things done, and reward and incentive and stuff. So yeah, motivation, I would say it's more of like creating the environment and atmosphere, and you personally have to build relationship lah, like form the kind of relationship that each other really care for each other and motivate each other whenever you, regardless of what situation you are in lah. So it doesn't just like you motivate each other during good times, bad times you just criticize. It has to be consistent, and follow up with some rewards and incentive. Yeah. So let me see. Yeah.
Okay, let me make a statement about this question. My statement is this: no one can motivate an unmotivated person. Do you hear my statement? No one, no leader can motivate an unmotivated person, because the motivation is inside the person. What is motivation? The reason for doing. When a leader gives the reason, doesn't mean that the follower accepted the reason. So we don't know. So what can the leader do? The leader can only give the reason for doing. Has the follower accepted the reason for following? Nobody knows. Who can accept the reason for doing? The person himself. So the person, in other words, what I'm trying to say is only the person himself can motivate himself. No one else can motivate him, because only the person himself can accept and use the reason to do something. So what does the leader do? Leader cannot motivate. Leader create the environment which can increase the likelihood of the person, of the follower, of the team member accepting the reason to do something. So it's like the circle of control and the circle of influence. Leader try to increase the ability to influence the team member to accept, to adopt the reason for doing something. Does that make sense? That's why the leader, even if the member didn't say yes, the leader can still proceed with creating the environment. And the environment will increase the influence. Think about it. The four principles here that John C. Maxwell explained. Why motivated people? Attitude is infectious. Right? or not infectious. Attitude is contagious. Remember, we talked about attitude training. Attitude is contagious. So all that the leader is doing is make sure you are hiring and you are keeping motivated people in the team, so that the attitude of being motivated become contagious to the unmotivated people. That's all. 2B, understand the connection between relationship. Relationship helps the person, gives the person a reason to do it. Because now the person will say, oh, I'm doing it because I care. And that relationship increases the care. So it's indirect. It's not direct. That's why all that the leader can do is indirect. Does not directly motivate the unmotivated person. C, give each person a reputation to uphold. All that the leader is doing is raise the expectation to show that person that the leader believes that that team member can do that much. So it's an indirect belief. Okay? And then reward. Reward is again a carrot and stick. A carrot and the stick, right? It's a carrot scenario. You put the carrot, what? Did the donkey motivated to walk? No. The donkey has the eye on the carrot. And the carrot gives the motivation to walk. It's not the work itself gives the motivation to walk. So now the reward becomes an indirect motivation for the unmotivated person. So each one is also doing that. So this is very important for us to always remember. Nobody can change somebody else. Or in other words, what I'm saying is nobody can directly change somebody else. We are only creating the environment that can increase the likelihood of motivating the person to change. That's all. Giving the person a reason to change. And as a leader, that's what we want to do. That's why the leader become very skillful in finding ways to increase the situation that can give the person, the team member, a reason to do. Okay, so it can be, it can range from direct, very direct scold to very indirect, give reward, or anywhere in between. Okay, that's why for a leader to really increase the motivation, to increase the likelihood of the team member finding the reason to do something, is to understand, to try to understand the team members' value system, to understand what drives the team member, what is important to the team member. Some team members don't want monetary reward. Some team member want recognition. Some team member just do it out of relationship. Some team member do it out of personal satisfaction. So it is very important. So in other words, in order for us to help motivate, you don't motivate, to help motivate, to increase the chances of motivating an unmotivated person, it is important for us to understand the unmotivated person as much as possible. What makes the person inside ticks? How the person, what drives, what value system, especially the value system of the person. Okay, if the value system of the person is wrong, sometimes you have to change the value system of the person. So you have to again increase a couple more steps. In other words, you now have to create the environment to hopefully influence the person to change the value system. Okay? Any question? Makes it a bit more complicated, of course, but but that's why it's not as simple as Any question? If not, then I'll hand the time back to Jin Lee.
Okay. Not sure why nobody got question, but I'm sure these are things that y'all will face.
Definitely will face.
Maybe I'm not sure why nobody asked questions. Y'all can ask personal questions like problems with your face related to one of this race issue, then y'all can ask as well. So different people have different scenario and things. Yeah. Like throughout the session, y'all can share lah. So as people can learn as well. So no, just a quick sharing lah. So different generation have different more ways where you can help to motivate them lah. Because as I was communicating with my parents and stuff, so I understand that they are from baby boomers level one, so they have a different sets of value, things that they value, and that will actually motivate them to stay in work for so long lah. So so to understand people from different generation, it sometimes can also help if you are in a leader's position right now. You need to understand like which level of people is coming from lah at your employee, so it can somehow helps up. So this is for you to explore further. I won't go in detail. Okay. So the fourth one, the fourth type of things that we're going to deal about conflict is that how do you deal with people who start things but never finish? Oh, this is also one of the things that I'm not only me or probably me myself is one of them. So I struggle with it before. Still now, So just questions what caused people to start things but never finish? So I just want to hear from y'all. I'm not sure whether y'all have this problem as well. So what is the cause that cause people to start things but never finish? Yeah, it's a question to everyone. Hello, don't ignore me. 来，呆3分钟热度啊，hangat tahi ayam. Wow, my Malay good. Translate for those who don't know Mandarin. Sorry, Muhammad. I don't know how to translate in English. What is hangat tahi ayam? Anyone know can translate English for Muhammad?
Direct translation from Mandarin, 3-minute hot.
Muhammad, you know, right? Okay, I know you know. Okay. So that's what Zixian answer. How about the rest? Why 3-minute hot? Why 3分钟热度? Maybe lazy. About the rest? Or realize it isn't worth it? Okay. How about the rest? So the resting comment means that everyone doesn't have this problem or never came across this problem. If thinking, give me one sign, any sign, okay or wait or something like that, so I know you guys are thinking. They want everything, but they do not have enough time to cope with. Okay. Any more answer? No. Okay. Um. Uh. From my side, um, I realized that yeah, people will help them to finish. I realized that nowadays, like especially, I'm not sure whether I can put this statement like this, but I realize nowadays, the younger generation have this face this issue more often. So even for the younger employees, I'm not sure whether you all have that. Jameson said the things that they started sometimes just hope that if dragged long enough, people will help them to finish. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's why I say the younger employees or generation are starting to, uh, have this more often. I would say. So, uh, actually, there are a lot of uh, reasons that might contribute to that. Probably because of the like the that their parents are always there to help them whenever they mess up things, or probably like Zhixian say, they are interested in everything, so end up they didn't finish anything because no time to cope, or like Mohammed say, maybe lazy and stuff. So perhaps something for us to think lah. If we all came across this problem as well, so why do we actually start things but never finish? Mm. So, um, what are the factors? Yeah. So here are some of the factors that I've found. Probably they lose motivation after the initial excitement wear off, and endless of procrastination. Yeah, tomorrow will always come. Don't worry, just leave it to tomorrow. And failing to take into account what completing a given project actually involves. Yeah, sometimes we can picture the things, how exciting to start a project, but forgot to take into consideration of what, like the effort, sleepless night, or the preparation needs to be included in completing the project. And overcommitment is also one of the problems, and lack of mental resilience. Yeah. So maybe I'll just highlight the last point. The first few points, I believe we are quite clear. Yeah. And the last point, mental resilience. So yes, this is more of like a emotional journey to success. Like whenever we start something, that's where our emotion is like. Like whenever we no one like things excited things, then we're like, oh my god, this is the best idea ever. It's gonna be fun, and then okay, I think it's harder than what I thought. Okay, a lot of work, and to the point where you things doesn't, problems start to arise. That's where you feel sucks and like, okay, this is not fun at all. This is not what you expected. And a lot of times people just stay or doesn't move on from there. That means they will just immerse themselves in the dark storm of despair. That's all. So that's why a lot of times they couldn't finish things because they did not foresee that problems will arise. They did not foresee that the challenge, how much effort they need to put in to overcome the challenge. And challenge doesn't, the failure or the problem doesn't just limit to one. It could be a pile of questions and keep on coming. So yeah, these are all trials lah. So and only those who actually, you know, manage to pull through it and okay, just continue, even though it sucks, but it's going to be all right. And slowly, that's where you can see the light and you can see the end. So I remember last time in the past few chapters, so asked before, like for a business to success or something like that, usually how long does it take? Or for you to in your life, for you to actually be successful, how long does it take? I think the answer is 35 years or something like that. So yes, don't expect for a quick success. Like success will, be achieved like in a few days time. No, actually it takes years to actually build. Same goes to every project or every things that you do. It's precisely every time, every effort that you put in that builds you or builds your resilience in finish things, from smaller things to bigger things. So yeah, that's what I would like to highlight here. What is next? Yeah, anything to add on before I actually go into like how to deal with that?
Okay.
Know that
Hello.
Yep. So
I want to share a little illustration from the other class. In the men's are from Mars, women from Venus. He talks about relationship, the journey to relationship, a successful relationship. I think it applies here. He talks about 4 seasons in the journey of a successful relationship. He talks about spring, summer, autumn, winter.
not here.
Huh?
Not,
Here
not
also
this
got.
book.
This book also got 7. The other book also got, but I like it the other way. The last just the Monday we went through the spring, summer, autumn, winter of effective success of relationship between man and woman. Now here also we have talked about it, the season, and I think for the journey to success in a lot of our project is the same thing. Now that's why a lot of the young people, young entrepreneur today, they are not taught this, and they are not trained in their discipline or mental resilience. That's why they fail. When they hit summer, they fail already. Spring, everything started at the beginning, very exciting. You know what you want to do, and you have your dream, and then you get so excited about starting, and then you run around trying to get everything together. And then everything starts taking off. And then you hit problems. That's your summer. Okay? Then you realize that, hey, it's not as simple as you think. The journey got a lot of problems that you never anticipated. And then the going gets tough, gets hot, gets a lot more resistance. That's your summer. And you're going to get worn out. A lot of people give up there. Okay? A lot of people. Now, we are talking in the context of years. Springtime is anywhere between 1 to 3 years. Summertime is anywhere between 3 to 10 years. Average of about 5 years. Then, if you break through, that means you have the mental resilience to solve all the problem you encounter in the summer, and you have the perseverance to keep at it, and the mental endurance to keep putting in. You break through, you manage to solve the problem, and finally you get through to autumn. You see the results, and suddenly you feel very satisfied and you begin to celebrate. But the problem is this: after you celebrate, and then the results are there, and then you repeat, your excitement goes away. It goes into winter. Winter is the time you begin to reflect. Now you reflect, hey, is this as valuable as I initially thought this would be? Is this as meaningful? Does this give me the level of meaning and significance? Now, of course, in today's generation, even when I see in YMAT, to be honest, a lot of you in summer already given up. Okay? That's why, now bear in mind, the degree of your improvement will be defined by the degree of your investment. The amount of effort you're willing to keep pumping in will determine the amount of harvest you will find in autumn. And that includes the investment that you put in, and especially the investment that you put in during the summer heat. And in summer heat, the beginning excitement, the freshness, the 3-minute hot is over. The 3-minute hot is the 3-year hot. You pass the 3-year hot, you're no longer hot. That's why a lot of people give up. Realize there is statistics, if I'm not mistaken, I think close to 50% of the people of entrepreneurs give up their startup business in the first 5 years. Why? Because they hit in the middle of summer. So my question for you is very simple now. Are you one of them? How do I develop a mentality that you are not one of them? How do you redefine your attitude now so that you are not one of these kind of people? These are choices you have to make. How do you deal with people who start things but never finish? Must begin with, how can you make sure you are not one of those people who start things but never finish? Because if you are not able to finish what you started, how can you ask this question about dealing with other people who start things but never finish? How many projects have you finished successfully? I don't even ask finish. That's why most of the time, if you can say, I have finished one project, then I usually will ask you, did you repeat the project to make sure you have finished it successfully? If you have not, then I still have the same conclusion. You have not finished successfully what you started or what you wish to do. This is a very important question. If you know what it takes to finish what you started, if you know what it takes to finish successfully, what you started. Then you are in a position to lead other people in today's generation, because there are a lot of people out there who cannot finish what they start. Okay, Chin.
Okay. Yep. So let's take a look and see if people, those of them who doesn't actually follow through and finish something, what will be the consequences? So, yeah, the bookend of success are the starting and finishing. Okay, so people doesn't follow through. This is what the consequences that they will face. They will lose the reward of finishing. They will lower their self-esteem and sabotage their own success. Yeah, obvious. And they lose the trust and respect of others. Yeah. So remember, whatever success is built, it's not achieved like overnight. So it precisely by little, small project by small project, that's how you accumulate up the confidence and the rewards in doing things, in finishing things, accomplishing things. So yeah, if you don't, that's the price that you have to pay. Because if there's no results from your side that they can see, or there's things that doesn't finish at your end, eventually people will lose trust in you in the sense that, why would I want to trust you if you couldn't even finish a small things? How can I entrust you with the bigger things or bigger role? Yeah. So it's easier to move from failure to success than from excuse to success. Yeah. So now don't give yourself any excuse anymore. Remember, don't to move on and fail, it's better than you end up regretting for not moving forwards or didn't complete something that you started. So it's better that you try and fail rather than you try halfway and give yourself excuse, end up you declare the failure yourself. Yeah, it's better that you try and fail. At least you find one way that it doesn't work. Maybe you will try and find the other way that works. Okay. So how do you deal with people who actually do that? And to help people to learn, to finish what they started, this is what you can do. Show them big picture. It applies to you as well. So if you yourself want to help yourself, this is what you can do. Remember the big picture and give them accountability. Help yourself accountability. Help them to schedule your time, plan your time. Provide a work partner. Get someone to work together or partnering with you. Then reward only finished work. Yep. So reward yourself only if you finish the work. Yeah. Simple steps, right? Ding. Yeah. That's from my side. So this is the end of question 4. Now it's 10:36. Question 5, I only have 2 slides. If it's okay for me to continue, so I will stop at question 5 because So next week I'll continue from question 6 to question 10. Okay. So anything to add on for question 4?
Nope. Okay, good.
Okay, then I'll move on with question 5. Question 5. How can leaders help individuals move past their mistake, filter out negative self-talk, and get on a path of success towards a better future? Yeah. So this is how you can differentiate between people who actually focus on the loss and people who actually focus on the lesson. So yeah, people, those of them who actually focus on loss, is what they always think what they did wrong, and they will relieve the pain and increase self-pityness, emotionally down, feel hopeless and stuck in the future, dwell in the future. But people who focus on the lesson, they always think of what they can do right, put energy in healing and increasing self-reliance, get excited, gain hope, and move forward towards the danger. So sometimes loss require time lah, but time doesn't mean that we abuse the time. We just let them be. Sometimes they need a little push from our side as well. So for this case, just like the first few condition where we mentioned, or whether they want to step up from there or not, whether they themselves want to get out from there or not. If they want, then only we can come in and help. Same goes to us. If some of you, if you come past this problem and you feel like you are one of them, people can't really help you to step out of this unless you yourself want to step up and move forward from there. So, but just a little tricks that if you are practicing on this part, how you can actually move past. These are the tips. 24 hours rules. Okay, give yourself 24 hours to embrace the feeling. Okay, whether you're feeling sad or you are feeling a loss, or if you are experiencing victory as well. So try not to do longer than 24 hours, because if not, you will get over excited or over down. So the quicker you actually turn your focus from the loss to the lesson, the sooner you actually heal. So don't dwell too much on the loss, but focusing on what you can do next, focusing your attention on how you can do better next round. It's how you can actually get out from it lah. So yeah, this one very straightforward to me. Okay, so
I think one of the biggest issue with today's generation is this wrong philosophy of life. I give you. Let me ask you this statement. Okay, is the meaning of life to be happy? Is the meaning of life to be happy? Is it true that today's generation, is it, when I ask this question to anybody, right? A lot of people cannot deny me, but they know something is not right. But they cannot say no. Am I right to say that?
correct.
You cannot say no. So yes, you feel that your life is driven by to be happy. That's what somehow you've been brainwashed to think. We have been brainwashed to somehow feel or think that if I'm not happy, then life is meaningless. Correct? And I can tell you that's a very wrong philosophy of life. Because once you are driven by this, then what is the point of excellence? What is the point of achievement? Because achievement is never happy. Achievement is very, very difficult and very, very tough. And toughness is not happy. Significance can never be achieved without difficulty and sadness and problems. So most of the time when we say if life is meant to be happy, then life is sort of tie in together. Okay, life, I must try to avoid problem. Then I can be more happy. Okay, that's why. Is it feeling driven life, philosophy of life? What is important in life? Is it my feeling? Or is it what is right? If it is what is right, that's why if you look at these two, the difference between loss and lesson. Lesson, think about what they can do right. Nothing to do with feeling. That's why I always come up with this like versus right. Everybody like to feel good. Everybody like to be happy. Everybody doesn't like to be sad. Everybody doesn't like to face difficulty. Everybody doesn't like whatever that hinders me from success and delay my success. So once you are driven in your philosophy of life with what you like and what feels good and what makes you happy, you are in trouble. You have a problem with excellence. You have the problem with significance. You have a problem with achievement. You have a problem with meaning. It's a very harmful philosophy of life. Because a lot of the better things and most of the better things in life, most of the significant things in life, most of the meaningful things in life are achieved through difficulty and hardship. Not through the kind of happiness we think, the feel-good happiness that we want to feel every day. Our definition of happiness is avoid sadness, avoid difficulty, avoid hardship. That's our definition of happiness. And that will lead to big problem. That's why one of the things for leader is to get through this philosophy, wrong philosophy. You yourself have to overcome it. If not, how are you going to help your followers to overcome it? And today's generation especially. This is one philosophy of life somehow have to give up. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't seek for happiness. Now, what do I mean by that? I do not seek for present happiness because I seek for excellence. But I know after excellence is happiness. That's why I seek excellence. What I can be. And then what will I have? I will have happiness. So my philosophy of life is do what is right and do the best that I can. That's my philosophy of life. But I don't seek happiness. But I will have happiness as the outcome of being, of having done the best in what is right. That's why my philosophy of life is right excellence. But what I will have as a result of that is happiness. Yes, because why? Happiness is always, it's like thing do be have. Happiness is having. It shouldn't be our purpose in life. Our purpose is to be. Our purpose should not be to have. Because once you focus on having, you will find a shortcut to having. Our purpose should be to being. And as a result, we will have. If you really want happiness, very simple, without being. If you really want happiness without being, go and take drug, lor. You'll be very happy. That's a shortcut to happiness without being. Because you destroyed yourself as a human being. That's why our goal and our purpose in life is not happiness. It's being excellence. But once we make our purpose focus on happiness, then whenever we don't find happiness, it discourages us from our effort. How come I'm doing this, I'm not happy? How come? Since my goal is happiness, I'm not getting happiness, I might as well don't do. My happiness is yet to come. I can tell you, my happiness is yet to come. My final happiness is when my life ends and I am to give an account. The level of happiness that I will experience will be defined by the level of excellence I have achieved with my life. I have become in my life. That's why when at the end of my life, I become the person that I will be, then at the end of my life, I will receive the happiness due. So meanwhile, on this life, in the journey, it's not about happiness. It's about whatever I'm doing right, what I can achieve by the right that I have done. Thing to be. Have is always the future. After the end of doing what you're required to do. After the end of achieving what you're required to achieve. Question. Can see how this philosophy of life affects people and how this is so important if you are to be as a leader and you need to help your team member. If you cannot correct this philosophy of life in yourself and in the team member, it's very hard. It's very hard to influence the kind of motivation in your team member to strive for excellence. Because the lack of happiness is so demotivating. The lack of happiness in the process is so demotivating. Question. I can see it happening now through with people. You look all around, everybody's happening. And they go and shortcut. They avoid, they shortcut. So why? Why they shortcut? They shortcut so that they can avoid the difficulty, the hardship. And so when they avoid the hardship and the difficulty, they reduce the unhappiness. And they get quickly to the end with the hope of getting happiness. But then the happiness is not as a result of excellence. And so the happiness isn't full because they know they have cheated, they know they are not excellent, so they know they have poor self-esteem, and their poor self-esteem doesn't allow them to truly experience their happiness. Because they know they are not authentic. They know they are not genuine. Okay. Any question?
No.
Hey, why everybody so quiet? Hey.
Digesting the.
Okay. Okay, I think calling the night is almost 11 o'clock already.
Yeah. I think good for us to reflect also.
I hope y'all can understand. This is a bit more philosophical.
Yep.
Can Yeah. Okay. Good. As long as you can understand, then you can meditate on it. If you cannot understand, then can understand, then good.
Okay. Okay lah. If no question, then I don't want to drag anyone any longer. So yeah, think through some of the questions that raised here lah. Some of them might not applicable to some of us since maybe we don't really have the influential power to influence people yet. But remember, there is one person we can influence always, which is ourselves. Okay. So yeah, spend some time to reflect. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
Good night.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care. Everybody be safe.
Yeah. See you next week. Bye.